Hello, welcome to Issues with Cartoons, the show about comics and cartoons. My name is Carl Lucas.
And I'm Kyle Windle.
And today we're talking about Earth's Mightiest Heroes, episode number 22, Ultron-5.
Ultron-5, written by Brandon Allman, directed by Sebastian Montez. We've been kind of waiting for this one, Carl, for a while.
It's been a long build-up for Ultron. I feel like they've teased it for several episodes. They've shown the robots. They've shown
going all the way back to episode 5, honestly. So we've been seeing little bits and pieces of Ultron for the better part of almost 20 episodes, where he's kind of dropped in and out throughout the whole run, and now the character who is familiar to MCU fans of classic Avengers comics, they're starting to see the Ultron they know. And I wasn't disappointed.
It definitely delivered for me, and I think I said to you before we recorded that these episodes, especially these last 4 or 5, have really been picking up, and they're like some of the strongest episodes yet. And,
yes.
I feel that way about these 2 episodes, which could almost be a 2-parter, right?
Oh yeah, this is definitely a 2-parter, and I think to your point, a lot of these last few episodes are rewarding the long-term viewer.
Yeah, like they're payoff.
They're paying off all the seeds they planned for the last 20-some episodes, and now, Kang the Conqueror shows up.
Yes.
And all the Hydra stuff gets resolved, and now we're dealing with Ultron, and it's just going to continue to pay off as we barrel into the season finale, which is a 3-parter that we'll start covering after we talk about Ultron. So
is that a first 3-parter?
I am thinking back.
Second one, maybe?
Kang was a 3-parter.
Oh, that's right.
Kang was a 3-parter. I don't think there was another 3-parter. I think all of them have either been
so this is a
one-offs or 2-parters, other than Kang and then this final stretch that we'll have at the end.
You're right. It's like everything that was introduced in those mini episodes is now converging. We're finally getting payoff for all that. But yeah, let's jump in with the beginning. And in this episode, much like the one before it, like doesn't waste any time. Like we're straight into the Avengers versus the Serpent Society.
Were you familiar with the Serpent Society?
I wasn't really. They name dropped Madam Viper.
Yes. And
I'm familiar with that character, but the Serpent Society overall, no, not so much.
Well, I know them mostly from Captain America comics. When Mark Gruenwald was the writer, one of the Serpent Society members, Diamondback, ended up kind of trying to go straight, and she was a partner of Captain America's. They dated for a while. Like, she was a major supporting cast member for the Gruenwald era. So I'm familiar with them to that extent. And they're kind of a fun, just kind of throwaway villain team that you can have your heroes fight in the opening of a much bigger story like this.
I like that they didn't do any setup.
No.
And it's like, we can, this is an animated cartoon. Let's just start with the Avengers fighting somebody.
It felt like a comic book. Yeah.
Yeah.
King Cobra, Anaconda, Death Adder, Bushmaster, Constrictor, and Rattler were the members of this particular group. And like I said, there are other ones. There's like Black Mamba, Asp, Diamondback. There are all kinds of different ones.
Now, this has happened before. I have it in my notes. I think it's something cool. Is like, I like this switch between Ant-Man and Giant Man.
Yeah.
Like, where his mask switches real quick. Too. It's like not something that's like in the comics, but it's like something in the show.
It makes a lot of sense. They make it work really well. How the antenna just kind of blend into like to the helmet, and then they revert to the mask and everything.
I'm a big fan of it. I think it consolidates Ant-Man and Giant Man very well.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the comics, like he would never switch like mid-fight. He would just have like Ant-Man would be the identity for that issue, or Giant Man would be the identity for that issue.
Right. So the Serpent Society's in the subway. They have hostages. The Avengers are about to charge, and they're about to attack. And Hank stops everything. And he says, "Wait, we don't need to fight. King Cobra was in the big house with me. I was, trying to work on reforming him. Like, we can talk it out."
Let me talk him down.
They try to talk it out. It doesn't work. Yeah, and a fight happens.
This isn't phone booth. We'll call him for, This is Avengers. You can't talk these supervillains down.
That is a reference from someone who came of age in the mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, and just some superhero trivia for you. Joel Schumacher directed that film.
Listen,
just to tie it into superheroes for you.
In case Joel Schumacher was on your Issues with Cartoons bingo card.
If I have a superpower, it's tying things back to comic books.
Oh yeah, honestly, we're like the Wonder Twins in that way. Yeah, that's great. The fight is going pretty badly.
Hank's not stepping in.
He's not carrying his weight. And then Wasp gets hit, and then he starts just going into badass mode, and he turns into a giant man.
He's done messing
Very
around.
effective giant man. He just turns into a giant fist, basically, and punches, I think it was Anaconda, I don't remember which one. And then he just drowns them all in ants and chases them away to kind of finish up the fight.
I didn't quite understand what was going on with Hawkeye. Like, Hawkeye emerged, like, from the drain for a shot. Yeah. And then they, like, cut back to the ants, and then the ants were doing something. I'm like, did they ever explain where Hawkeye was?
Yeah,
like,
they showed him getting pulled under by...
it was hard to follow.
I think it was Death Adder, and then they're, like, trying to basically drown each other, and then Hawkeye finally gets the upper hand. And ends up kind of tweaking his shoulder in the process. But they, in a kind of really dramatic moment, the Serpent Society get away. And every one of them is ragging on Hank for not jumping in.
I thought this was great. This is giving him like a real character moment. Because
we've laid the groundwork since episode 5, since he showed up. He's a pacifist. There's no question of the team, like, who doesn't want to fight supervillains? It's Hank. We've established from the beginning he's not about the crime fighting life. He's about the crime prevention life.
Even his programming of Ultron-5 reflects this.
Yeah.
He's programmed Ultron-5 for be a pacifist.
He had to explicitly teach violence back in the Kang 3-parter.
Exactly.
He had to change the interface to violence because that was not in the program.
So I think this is a cool thread, and I like all the Avengers telling him, and he says he quits.
It's an incredible moment because at the very end, like, he doesn't respond to any of their criticisms. He turns his back on them and he shrinks down to nothing right after he says, "I quit." That's all he says. He says, "I quit," shrinks to nothingness and goes away, which is a huge sticking point for Janet. Like, she's kind of beside herself. She doesn't really believe that he's quitting. But everyone else, like Tony's just kind of like, well, like, yeah, he doesn't want to be here. Of course he quit.
It hits Jan the most.
Yeah.
Like the other characters, Tony understands it and accepts it, but Jan's really struggling with the idea of Hank not being on the team anymore.
Yeah, and she tries to confront him about it, but before that, Hank is venting to Ultron-5, who...
Yeah.
To remind audiences, Ultron-5 is the last Ultron standing after the Kang conflict. He actually was even kind of a part-time Avenger because he showed up in that Casket of Ancient Winters episode fighting with the Avengers.
Yeah, he's like a member of the team.
He was participating. I think he was even in the last standoff with Kang.
They've done a great job building this character up.
Right.
Like there's all these seeds and all these. You've heard all the episodes Kyle just referenced. Like, there's a really good build up to this whole plot.
So now Hank is in his lab venting to Ultron, and he says humanity has come so far, but more and more it seems like we're failing as a species, like we're wasting all of our potential or all of our promise. And Ultron says humanity is inherently flawed. Observation and analysis suggest humanity is encoded with chaotic and violent tendencies that cannot be overcome. And Hank says, maybe you're right, Ultron. This isn't exactly the peace and order I programmed you to achieve, is it? And there's a pause, and then Ultron says, no, it is not. And you're talking to a computer, and you're telling the computer, like, looks like you're not doing your job, basically is what it sounds like. But Hank's just being, he's being conversational. Yeah, he's being conversational. He's being human, talking to an inhuman, very literal machine.
He doesn't have anyone else to turn to right now.
Yeah, because none of the other Avengers understand his point of view.
And in this shot, his eyes turn red, right? Like, we get the shot of Ultron's head, and then it cuts.
I don't know if they turn red. They certainly are red by the end of the interaction. I don't know if they.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
before we cut to the next scene.
Yeah,
we get a little bit of tease.
Yeah. Which, you know, again, like, we knew this would come. We knew this would have to come because Ultron, when he was programmed for violence, the interface did change from blue to red. So we knew that this was going to be like a...
he's going to be the villain.
A turn.
Yeah, we knew he would be the antagonist.
So then Thor and Iron Man are talking about... the Serpent Society, because the Serpent Society made mention that they had received a message from Madame Viper that Hydra was going to help them. Mm-hmm. And of course, Madame Viper had been detained by S.H.I.E.L.D. If you remember, she ended up being a Skrull. Hydra was put out of commission last episode, so there's no reason that the Serpent Society should think that Hydra was going to get help. So they're trying to figure out where that thread's
coming from. Because they mentioned Madame Hydra or Viper. I'm sorry,
right?
Madame Viper, and they're trying to piece that together.
We also get Hulk and Black Panther showing up with the Red Ghost and his super apes, which was a Fantastic Four reference. Super cool.
I have this here. There was a bit of dialogue I liked. Thor said to Iron Man at one point, Hawkeye possesses the strength of a true warrior. And then Iron Man said, yeah, he's something. You know, I thought that was the closest thing to, like, Robert Downey Jr. that they have gotten to. Like, and actually, like, nailing his character voice, which they go for a lot. And we've talked about this before. Yep. They never quite land it. It's always, like, a little bit off. But back to, because I want to talk about that for sure, is the Red Ghost cameo.
Yeah, that was fun. I loved it. The only thing that would have been better is if we got to see them in action. But
so they mentioned they were trying to track down the Fantastic Four, and then they capture the Red Ghost. For our listeners that don't know, Red Ghost is like an early Fantastic Four villain.
Super early.
That tries to replicate the Fantastic Four's powers by flying into space in a rocket with like an orangutan, a baboon, and a monkey, and then those monkey characters kind of become off versions of the Fantastic Four.
Right, they have different kinds of superpowers.
Yeah,
the Red Ghost, I think, can walk through walls, I think was his thing.
Yeah.
I always loved that character.
Yeah, Miklo, Igor, the baboon. You know, so it's like the monkeys, you know, become like a version of Fantastic Four, and then Red Ghost, you know, fights the Four, but you know, he's a communist. You know, he's from Russia.
At the time of recording,
he's a commie.
At the time we're recording this, the Fantastic Four teaser has come out, but the movie has not come out. So I think this will probably air before the movie comes out anyway. But the rumor is that John Malkovich is playing this character.
There is one shot.
In the teaser, there's one shot. This is totally an aside and not
fine.
But when I was in college, I was bored and I wrote a Fantastic Four movie treatment.
Nice.
And it was with the Red Ghost. Like my whole thing was like it was in the 60s and they were going to be like a
period piece.
It was basically what they're doing now. And my whole pitch was like they were going up against the Red Ghost. Like the Red Ghost was the main threat of the first movie, and then you'd have Dr. Doom show up and Galactus and all this stuff. Anyway, all that to say is I've been a fan of the Red Ghost and the quirky 60s Cold War implications of that character for a long time.
He's a fun character.
Super fun.
Yeah. It's great antagonist.
I mean, the Fantastic Four are a space race outcrop. Like it's obviously they're creative, and this is becoming a Fantastic Four podcast again. But
that's fine.
I mean, it makes perfect sense that a Russian astronaut scientist would be a villain of theirs. Like, it makes perfect sense given what their origin stems from.
That's what's so effective.
It's all about the space race.
That's what's so effective about the new teaser is all the retrofuturism, and they're kind of playing into the ideas of Kennedy era and the space race and presenting the Fantastic Four as astronauts, which the other films kind of gloss over. Like, they have them as astronauts, or I think in Josh Trank's they're like even going to another dimension. They skip the astronaut aspect altogether.
Listeners couldn't hear my eye roll, but I did eye roll. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
no, the Fantastic Four are like they're like the Mercury 7 astronauts meets the Kennedys meets the Beatles.
Exactly.
Like,
all that culture.
All by way of pop art, superhero stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
And if you want to hear us talk about Fantastic Four even more, we have a discussion of the trailer on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Where we draw Fantastic Four characters and talk about our reaction to the teaser.
We're going to talk about Fantastic Four a lot on this podcast. We love big fans of Fantastic Four. And so anyway, we get a reference here in this episode.
Yeah, it's inevitable. We're going to talk about it. And they'll show up in the show again, I'm sure.
Oh, probably. We'll remind audiences I've seen the show and
I'm guessing
Carl has.
I just think, okay, they've done all this setup of Fantastic Four, and now you're showing us villains.
We've seen we've seen Thing, we've seen Human Torch, we've
Johnny,
seen Reed, we've seen Herbie. Haven't seen Sue yet, but she was probably there.
That's what I mean. You're putting all these seeds there. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm confident.
And like you say, we've heard a lot of references to Doom and Latveria and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm confident.
So Hulk and Black Panther take Red Ghost away, and Thor is talking to Iron Man about getting back to Asgard. And he's interrupted because Iron Man realizes that the signal the Serpent Society received came from the mansion. And just as he's kind of figuring it all out, his armor freezes. Did I get that right? Is my order of events correct? Or am I getting that?
I have in my notes here that Jan tries to convince Hank to return.
I skipped that part. Go ahead.
After the Red Ghost stuff.
We're cutting away for a little bit.
After the Red Ghost stuff, Jan goes to Hank for a little bit. Hank accuses Jan of enjoying the violence. Like, she enjoys fighting as an Avenger way too much, and he's a pacifist. So we're going back to his views on things. Then we get where Ultron blasts Hank. Yes. And then Jan disappears. We don't know what happens to Jan. It's just kind of like the scene cuts. And then we get Iron Man shuts down. Right?
Okay, that sounds correct. Because what ends up happening is Ultron takes over the mansion systems.
Yes, and then crazy stuff starts happening.
Yeah, so like Hawkeye and Jane Foster and Captain America are in the training room. Jane is trying to convince Clint to let her examine him, and he is too much of a tough guy to do it. It's perfect Clint Barton.
So it's like the Hulk's in a plane, and then the plane takes off, and then it loses control and just takes the Hulk off somewhere. So the
training facilities turn off safety mode and attack Captain America, Hawkeye, and Jane. The Quinjet flies away with Hulk and takes him into space, which felt very like Illuminati Planet Hulk.
It felt that way.
I had to check myself and remind myself, okay, like that doesn't happen in this TV show. Like that's not how this resolves.
That's not where this is going.
And then the other Quinjet attacks T'Challa, and then Iron Man's suit gets co-opted, and he has no audio going out to tell Thor what's happening, and Ultron makes Iron Man's armor fight Thor, basically.
And I think the biggest difference between, we get an introduction to Ultron. It's revealed that he captures Jan, and he's trying to correct things. He's
updating his programming.
Yeah, he's overwriting things. And the biggest difference between, the comic book Ultron and this one is, this Ultron operates on pure logic.
Right.
He is a computer throughout. Everything he does is because he's come to that conclusion. Whereas I feel like comic book Ultron is a little bit more maniacal. He's a little bit more of a supervillain. He's got a little bit more of a personality.
Yes.
This Ultron is very cold and robotic and calculating. So I have that in my notes.
That's a good point.
There is a clear separation in these takes. It's totally different from. The voice portrayal is totally different from James Spader.
I love this portrayal. I like both. I love James Spader's voice, and even I was thinking about when we were talking about the characterization of the comics, even the MCU film, even Age of Ultron, he's just got a little more ego to him than this version. He's got a little more because he's based on Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, that kind of stuff.
All those years, having the blacklist and trying to keep the Fed off his back.
Yeah, you're you're going to be driven to do some crazy things as a killer robot. I was just looking up the voice of Ultron because originally it was Wally Wingert when he first appeared, but then if you remember the programming when he taught Ultron violence,
you mentioned that in a
it
previous
switched
episode.
to Tom Kane as the voice, and I thought that kind of cold, calculating, it kind of puts you in mind of like Superman the Animated Series Brainiac a little bit.
It is
Corey Burton's Brainiac a little.
You're right. It's similar. They're both like robot characters.
Yeah, that kind of modulated, like just cold reading. But I like this a lot, and I think that's a good call out though, because part of the reason I think you're bringing that up is because he tries to shoot Jan while she's in captivity.
Yeah.
Several times, and he can't. He won't because he's programmed not to, and he's like, "Oh, I'm working on that.
I'm working on overriding that."
Right.
To kill you.
And that's a payoff in the next episode, but. With this, that's kind of a hurdle that he has to clear before he can, make good on his threats.
Make good on being the true megalomaniac and just taking over the world.
Right. So Thor ultimately sends a whole bunch of lightning on Iron Man to basically fry the systems. Hulk smashes the Quinjet in orbit.
Yeah. The Avengers are in their danger room.
Yeah,
essentially. I'm just going to call it their danger room. And the equipment starts fighting back.
Right.
Yeah, and then so they're fighting the equipment, and then like you said, some of the Avengers then arrive to fight Ultron, right?
Yeah.
And then Thor. This is kind of a big moment, and it's kind of important setting up the next episode. Is Thor gets zapped by Ultron by this beam, and he gets transported to another dimension. Now they play it off like he's dead, like he disappears.
Yeah, all you see is he's evaporated and his hammer falls.
Yeah, Mjolnir hits the ground, his helmet's gone there's a smoke cloud. The Avengers think he's dead. Me being a superhero fan and a comic book fan, I'm like, oh, he's transported.
Right.
I even wrote that on my notes. I'm like, he gets zapped to another dimension. Like, I already called it.
Right.
So
I wondered if you would catch that, like if you would be able to predict that or not. But did you skip the part again? I don't have notes for this part. The part where Tony arrives in the original Mark I armor. Did that happen before or after Thor got fried?
This is later.
Okay.
This is later. Yeah, he gets fried, and then he decides to get the Mach 1 armor to fight Ultron
because it has no operating system.
Yeah, there's no electronics that Ultron can hack into, and he's shown
pretty
so
smart,
far.
Tony.
Yeah,
it's the smartest thing Tony's done all this whole series.
Ultron has shown this whole time that he can hack into anything. So he hacks into the Iron Man suits, he hacks into the plane, he hacks into the danger room, and that's kind of his superpower, right?
He's a hacker.
Yeah. He's also, he's powerful. He has these beam attacks too. He's up there with Vegeta. He can shoot some Kais. You know what I mean? So he's a very powerful adversary.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth saying, just as an Avengers fan, and audiences probably know this because he was the second villain in the Avengers franchise, right?
Yeah.
Ultron is a top 2 or 3 Avengers villain.
Yeah, he's up there with Kang.
I would never put... Yeah, if I'm listing my Avengers villains, I think if I were to ask any rando on the street who only knows the MCU, they would say, who's the biggest Avengers villain? They would all say Thanos. Thanos, before the MCU, would never crack the top 5. In my mind, he's a Marvel Universe villain, but as Avengers villains, like, it's Kang, it's Ultron, it's Baron Zemo, it's
Dr.
Loki,
Doom.
It's Doctor Doom, probably before
Doom
Thanos.
I would put Doctor Doom before Thanos.
All I have to say, like, Ultron, because of his ties to the founding members of Ant-Man and the Wasp, because of his ties to the Vision and Wonder Man and all that mess that we will cover in our show, because of his ties to all that, he's entrenched in Avengers lore, and he's constantly I would hazard a guess that there's probably very few Avengers runs that don't include either Ultron, Kang, or Baron Zemo. I'm sure the Masters of, or just the Masters of Evil in general, I'm sure most celebrated Avengers runs include some combination of those 3. So Ultron is it's a big deal that we're getting this Ultron event.
I mean, I'll say this: they even throw Kang a little bit under the bus to develop Ultron as the ultimate villain, because like Ultron has a hand in defeating Kang.
You're right. Yeah.
It's like, it's really in this show, in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Ultron gets all this development.
Yeah.
He gets all this extra character development. The other characters don't get.
Yeah, he's positioned as one of the toughest villains they have to fight. So, and I think they demonstrate it here. It's very exciting. So he kills, or he
zaps Thor.
He zaps Thor. Allegedly kills Thor. They all regroup. Hank's waking up from his coma that he was in.
Yeah, because Ultron zaps him.
Brought up to speed on what's happening, and he's trying to figure out a way to defeat Ultron, and he's angry about it.
Yeah, and Iron Man kind of talks to Hank for a little bit. Thor being gone is definitely part of the conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So after that, where do we go from there?
So basically, the big moment I have here in my notes is that Wasp uses the Pym particles unexpectedly. We cut to another scene. So they decide they're going to go. They kind of go to recruit Hank, right, to bring him back into the fight. They're like, you gotta cut this out, buddy.
Right.
And you got to come with us to go fight this guy.
You know Ultron better than anybody.
You're the only one.
Right.
We need you. So they get him, and I thought this scene was super cool because it like highlights Wasp's relationship with Hank. And that Hank would give Wasp Hank particles, or she would have access to them, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, she already does. She can shrink. But then she takes the extra step and reveals that
she can grow huge.
And this is the first time we see Janet become Giant Woman. And I'm trying to think, this came out...
Oh, is this from the comics?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What I'm trying to figure out is, I think it had already happened at this point in the comics. The first time I ever saw it, this will make you laugh. First time I ever saw it, I think, was in Chuck Austin's run.
Chuck Austin, I know him very well.
Yeah, as an X-Men
I know him very
fan.
well from Nightcrawler's origin in the 2000s.
Boy.
First origin. I'll clarify that there.
Yeah, Claremont.
Claremont rewrote it.
Carl's reading an X-Men, or wearing an X-Men shirt right now, so I just find that appropriate. But Janet has become a Giant Woman before, and there's also in Marvel Avengers, which is like their all ages line.
Yeah, sure.
They didn't use Hank, but they did use Janet, but they didn't use her as Wasp. They used her as Giant Woman. So yeah, it's a great run. It's by Jeff Parker, was the writer, and it had a rotating cast of artists. Great set of books if you have a younger reader. They're very good. But anyway, so it's this very cool moment where Ultron's like, I know all your weaknesses. I know everything I need to know to defeat you.
Crap.
And Janet says, you don't know everything. And then her eyes turn that blue Pym particle thing, and she grows to Giant Woman and smashes him.
Smacks him.
And you can notice, though, that she seems kind of winded from it. Like, it fatigued her. She wasn't Giant Woman
she's
for very
exhausted
long.
afterwards.
Which is something they would borrow later in the MCU, where, like, it would kind of wear out Scott Lang when he became Giant Man, right? Like, he kind of had to build his endurance on that. Wasn't that an element of that? Where, like, he could only be Giant Man for so long before he was exhausted.
In the film.
Yeah, at least
it would tire him. Yeah,
in Civil War,
that.
at least.
I remember that a little bit. And they had that bit in there, sure.
But yeah, this is also the moment where Hank tells Hulk to just rip him apart to get to the core, right?
Well, We're skipping ahead a little bit.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
So, I don't have notes for this.
So there is a part where Ultron is like kind of systematically taking out the Avengers by scanning their powers. I think he picks up Cap's shield and has a moment where he's scanning Cap's shield, figuring out the best way to take him out. And
I was very worried.
The camera zooms in on the shield and stuff, and it's almost like a typical supervillain talk too while he's doing this. This is like one of our first of many Ultron rants,
right?
Where he's just kind of
he does like to talk.
Yeah, he does. Which is why we love him. This is why we love James Spader.
And that's why they got James Spader.
Yeah, and this is why we love Ultron, because it's like this character does love his evil monologues.
Loves a good monologue.
I wanted to say here, there is a scene where Hulk's plane explodes on like
so
in
cool.
orbit.
So cool.
And he drags back the orangutans and the baboons and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's got them like hoisted under his arms. It's very funny.
And he falls through the atmosphere. It's like an Adam West moment almost.
Yeah.
Better save these baboons. And, and then, so.
It's the kind of like surrealist science fiction stuff that like makes superheroes exciting,
it didn't bother me. I just thought it was funny. And so Hulk comes back to the Earth. Comes back to Earth, and then we get Iron Man in the Mach 1 armor.
So such a cool moment,
which is awesome.
I saw that and I thought of you,
so
and I'm like, Carl's gonna love this. Like,
I was so stoked.
It was such a good hero moment for Tony, and we've been pretty critical of Tony on the show. Like, he's the smartest idiot.
This is one of his cooler moments. He's actually he's smart in this episode. He's like I'm gonna go get the Iron Man suit that Ultron can't control.
And like great entry, like it really effective dramatically. Like I was very taken by that moment.
Yeah, the visual's cool too. Him in the armor fighting Ultron and stuff. It's cool. I have a quote here. There's a synthezoid. Is the shutdown code.
That's the shutdown code. This was a badass moment too, because before Hank decides to take the fight to Ultron, like he tries to do the pacifist thing. He's like, okay, like shutdown code synthezoid, and he shuts down for a second, and then he says override rejected, and he glows back up, and that's when Hank's like, all right, I'm just gonna have to like beat the crap out of you, I guess. And he turns into a giant man, and that's when Hulk bursts back into. Yeah, that's when he arrives in the scene.
That's when we get to.
And he says, "Give me something to smash."
And then they're like, smash out his heart or like rip his chest open. It was kind of brutal.
It's so grisly, but he has this very like maniacal smile on his face after he hears like, "Oh, I get to rip someone's chest open."
I found this scene. We're going to talk about the comics later.
Yes,
but I found that this was reminiscent to Ultron's first defeat.
Yeah.
Like this scene of like him getting torn apart. It's very similar to the comic book. We'll make those comparisons when we get there. Yeah. But the way they animated it made me think, I'm like, wow, they were like probably reading that comic when they were animating this.
I definitely think so. I feel like a lot of the Ultron stuff they do. And it's not a mistake that the titles of the Ultron episodes in this season and in next season are pulled from comic book titles. Like they were definitely there are lines from the Busick run in the next episode that we're going to cover.
Oh wow.
And it's he's an impactful character. He really is.
Yeah, and we talked so much about how Black Panther's first appearance was his first appearance in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Like verbatim.
Oh yeah.
Like except he's fighting the Avengers, Yeah,
and I mean like it's those kind of things that prompted us to have the show in this format, because a lot of these episodes are pulled directly from these books, and it's very satisfying as a fan to see all that.
I think it's a solid way to cover the Marvel Universe. I mean, like how many first appearances have we talked about? Like most of the pivotal characters at this point.
Most of them. Almost all of the classic ones. I mean, there are a few that we still haven't got to, but we'll get to them.
Yeah,
we have plenty to cover.
Get there.
So yeah, Hank still blames himself, even though like he kind of saved the day. Like
for Thor's death.
But then we cut to a meadow somewhere, some kind of really pretty, full of sunshine and butterflies and clouds and rainbows and trees. And Amora the Enchantress is revealed to have transported Thor and has him under mind control to kind of subdue him into staying with her. And that's kind of where he's at.
And then we get one last tease.
One little coda.
Of Ultron's head turning on.
Yeah,
at
so
the end.
Hank's destroying all the files. He seems to have a very emotional time destroying all the files. He destroys the last disc, and right after he does it, pans over to the Ultron head that turns on, and it says, upload complete, and then it cuts to the credits.
Yeah.
Which,
so over.
It's classic robot supervillain kind of stuff where, like, the bad guy always has the operating system in the cloud ready to go to another body. Like, it's a very classic trope for any kind of comic book robot, especially comic book robot villains. But, it's pretty ominous here.
It's our classic Marvel tease, to be continued and stuff, without saying that. This doesn't have, like, a title card. This show doesn't have, like, a title card that's, like, to be continued.
No, it doesn't. No.
They just tease things subtly, which is cool.
I don't know how many times we got to be continued on this whole show. Honestly, I'd have to go back and look. But
maybe once.
And we can save this for the comic book part of the podcast, and maybe we will. But I guess I'll just say real quick, having that final shot with Hank and Ultron's head as the final shot in the episode does just bring to bear like the fact that Hank Pym really was robbed of his most important storyline when they adapted him to live action.
Oh, you want to bring that up? Yeah, the elephant in the room kind of. Okay, so in Age of Ultron, because Hank is regulated to a legacy character, it was decided at the time, controversially, people were mad in the comic stores, I remember at this time, but that Tony Stark and Bruce Banner would team up to create Ultron.
Which is almost primed by this show, because Tony's involved in the creation of Ultron
as
well in this continuity, which was never a thing in the comics. It was always all Hank all the time. It was all Hank's responsibility. All of Hank's genius and fallibility went into Ultron. And it was his top two most important storylines for Hank Pym.
Yeah, it's the one everyone talks about.
Yeah, it's that and then the slap are the two big things that Hank's two biggest failures, right? Are Ultron and hitting his wife.
Biggest success, riding Hawkeye's arrow.
Yeah, really. Biggest success was landing Janet, and then he screwed that up.
Yeah. But the writers screwed that up.
Yeah, they did. Although he'll tell you it was the artist. Have I told you that story?
Oh no! Go ahead, tell it.
Jim Shooter wrote the issue that had Yellow Jacket slapping Janet in the face. Right,
which is 200 something. Right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I honestly don't remember the issue numbers.
213 maybe.
But I think it was John Buscema was the artist, or Sal Buscema. It was
one of the Buscemas.
Someone will fact check me, and you're allowed to. I'm not well researched on this.
Contact at Issues with Cartoons.
Attention, Kyle. So anyway, in the comic, Janet is talking to Yellow Jacket about something. He gets mad, and he turns around and he backhands her. And he ends up getting removed from the Avengers because of it.
It's ridiculous.
It's awful. But this storyline has hung on Hank Pym for the rest of his life.
They don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Like it occurred and
they're like, oh wait, we did
it.
Like the most unlikable thing to this character who already wasn't very likable. So now there's no redemption for him. And so now no one wants to like use him. So anyway, so they use Scott Lang instead. So the writer was Jim Shooter, who we've talked about on the show before. Jim Shooter has a blog, and he says that in the script, he just says that Hank was talking with his hands and he accidentally tagged Janet.
That sounds like damage control.
It sure does.
Yeah, that sounds like some.
He said the
Dwayne
artist
McDuffie damage control. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't buy it.
No, I don't either. And so he's basically saying, well, the artist drew it like a slap, like he drew it like he was trying to hit her. And I don't know how you convey talking aggressively with your hands and then slapping someone on accident.
My eyes are glazing over right
like
now.
It's so clearly him just trying to do damage control on it. But all that to say, like, those are two of Hank's biggest failures, and removing that from him just like I don't know.
It's stripping the character. It's almost like Tony Stark not creating his arc reactor,
right?
Or like. I don't know. I don't have another analogy.
Well, like Thor, like any of the feet of clay that these Marvel characters have, like Thor's, hubris, or Captain America being a man out of time. Hank Pym was kind of a boring character in the comics until he created Ultron and was like, oh no, like I'm the mad scientist, like I've created I'm Frankenstein and this is my monster kind of thing. And it's haunted him ever since. And when you take that away and you don't do anything like what the show does, which was make him like this really earnest, pacifist, kind of like lovable character, then you're just left with this kind of curmudgeonly old man scientist that Michael Douglas plays. And something's lost when you remove Ultron and Hank Pym from the story together. So anyway, that lasted longer than I planned to, but worth mentioning here. So let's take a break, collect our thoughts and our feelings, and we'll talk about the actual comics with Ultron-5. Welcome back to Issues with Cartoons. We are here to talk about a few issues that go along with this cartoon. Ultron-5 is the main antagonist of this episode, obviously titled Ultron-5. And his debut occurred in issue 54 and 55 of the Avengers, but his next big story arc took place in issue 66, which really shows off kind of the major threat that Ultron was.
Yeah, and this is like your typical Marvel comic book where they fight a supervillain for the first time. The first appearance of Ultron, me and Kyle talked about this off the air, was he just appears for a couple panels.
Yeah.
And we're going to cover that with the Vision stuff, I think.
Yeah, so for listeners who may not be familiar, issue 54, Ultron appears. And in issue 57, I think, 56 or 57, Vision appears. And that continues the story arc that started in issue 54. So we're going to cover that in season 2 when they do adapt the Vision storyline. So spoilers, we are going to get the Vision in season 2. But we kind of thought that with Ultron, especially with the Ultron that we see in these couple episodes from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, he was better served telling maybe a different story that happened a little later. And so this one is by Roy Thomas and Barry Smith, who I was surprised to see in the credits. Edited by Stan Lee with Sid Shores and Artie Simic on lettering, on ink and lettering.
Kyle, you might know this. I want to bring this up. When is the Mighty Avengers added to the Avengers title? Because I think this logo looks great. I love this, like, Mighty.
I don't know this offhand, but really quick looking at Marvel Unlimited,
here.
Issue 62 is the first time, it's the Monarch and the Man-Ape, is the first time I see that logo. And it is a really good looking logo.
Yeah, it's cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of a purist with the classic Avengers logo, but I still do like this variation because it's still got that kind of hand lettered quality to it.
Yeah, it's nice.
I do really like it. It's good.
Cool design.
And I don't know who did that. Like I wish there was some credit to whoever designs the logos on these books, but
I wish there was some way to Google that and contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com.
I wish someone out there could fact check. Yeah. Like Jim Steranko did the X-Men logo. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't know who did the Avengers logos.
I'm not sure.
Like, they ended up, like, later in the 70s, I think maybe George Perez designed, like, the kind of sharper-looking Avengers logo that they used for the cartoon. Like, it's kind of the logo they use even in the MCU and all that stuff. I think that came from Perez, but I could even be wrong about that. I don't know who did the Mighty Avengers logo.
All right, let's jump into the story.
Talk about this story. So, this set of issues is kind of noteworthy for another reason, Carl. Not only is this a major Ultron-5 story...
What else, Kyle?
But we also get the debut of a very important element in the Marvel canon that, as an X-Men fan, you are intimately familiar with.
Could it be adamantium?
We're talking about adamantium. This is the first mention and appearance of adamantium. And we also get Dr. McClane, who, as a Captain America fan, I'm familiar with because he is credited with the creation of Captain America's vibranium alloy shield, and he's also the creator of adamantium. And so the premise of this whole storyline is that the S.H.I.E.L.D. has brought the Avengers on board to see if they can figure out a weakness in adamantium. And McClane's kind of having this crisis of conscience because he's created this alloy, but he's very worried about what if it falls into the wrong hands, which of course we know inevitably it will. So we need to know a weakness for it before we, release it out into the world, because if we don't have a weakness for it, we're not going to be able to stop our enemies if they ever get a hold of it. So that's kind of the conceit of them being there.
And it's kind of a slightly different lineup of Avengers than what we've talked about before.
Yeah.
I was asking you a little trivia before it was revealed to me a couple pages later, is who Goliath was. Goliath is actually Clint Barton.
Yeah, so the lineup for this team is Vision, Goliath, Black Panther, Yellow Jacket, and the Wasp, and Thor and Iron Man. So Goliath, I think in issue 62, was Clint Barton Hawkeye. Because at that point, Hank had already become Yellow Jacket, and so there was an available slot open for a giant on the team. I actually have never read issue 62. I'm not sure what the premise was that prompted Clint Barton to hang up the bow and become a size changer. But
I think it's adds interest to
it is very cool.
Like Hank being Yellow Jacket too, and we talked about Siege.
Yeah.
There's that character that's a villain that's Yellow Jacket.
Rita Damara.
I think all of that mythology is really interesting.
It
I
is.
wish that stuff got more fleshed out, just kind of like how the connection between like Jason Todd and Joker, and sometimes Joker or Robin becomes Joker,
right?
And things like that. I wish those things got fleshed out,
like more. The Rita Damara Hank Pym kind of connection.
Yeah,
is that
they're
what you're
like
saying?
Almost these like vague things that are hinted at that like don't ever get fully fleshed out. You know, maybe a writer will come along and think of something really cool, to unify things or do something different with it.
Yeah, I mean the Pym family tree I've talked about is very expansive, and it's so interesting that Hawkeye kind of plays a part in that, where he's kind of got this shared superpower with him now. And then Yellow Jacket, and we mentioned in the front half of the show, Yellow Jacket was the persona Hank wore when he hit Janet, and so that's always been kind of the association with that.
A negative
that name and that costume.
Yeah.
And we read in the Kang Dynasty how he kind of had to like reclaim ownership of that name and all this stuff. I was first introduced to Clint Barton Goliath and Hank Pym Yellow Jacket in the Avengers Forever miniseries by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco, which was a major Kang storyline that involved pulling Avengers from different timelines.
We talked about it before.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard other people talk about it. Top tier Avengers comic, right?
Yeah. Incredible. I wish there was a way we could fit it into our coverage, because it is my favorite Avengers story.
We could still talk about it. I mean,
we'll find a way to plug it in.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a pitch meeting or something. But Clint as Goliath lasted for not a short amount of time. Like, he was there like through the Kree Skrull War, which I think ended in like, so this is like issue 66. He started in 62. It was like 30 some issues.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years of him being Goliath.
The Avengers like to play musical chairs with their identities.
They do.
They do. Like those trade masks.
Particularly if you're a Pym. I mean, they change costumes a lot. I'm actually just looking at, on page 2 of the comic.
Okay.
So this is Barry Smith, who would go on to be Barry Windsor Smith, who's probably best known for Conan the Barbarian and the Weapon X storyline of Logan, of the origin of Wolverine.
The best origin. The
best origin. Barry Windsor Smith, incredible artist. Amazing craftsman, like draftsman.
Yeah.
Very talented artist.
He's almost
very young here.
This comic, I was going to bring it up, is like he's imitating Kirby.
It's a
Kirby
clone.
It's like a Buscema Kirby clone thing going on. He hasn't quite become the artist we know him as.
Unrecognizable as Barry Smith for most of the book, honestly. I don't see a lot of Barry Smith here yet.
I don't either.
And there's a lot of, you can tell he's a young artist in a lot of these shots. Like I was looking at page 2, panel 3 of the group shot, and it's a tough angle. It's a down angle.
Perez does that all the time really well.
And look at Goliath and Wasp next to each other, and those perspectives don't line up. Like she's behind him, and I know that because of her feet behind his feet, but her head is in front of his arm. So it's like you can tell, and there's other examples of stuff like this throughout the issue, where like there's just some things that you can tell he's just a young artist. I'd be interested to know how old he was and how long he'd been in the industry. Because I'm not kidding. One of the early comics I ever read was that Weapon X. I had a random issue of Marvel Comics Presents, and it had that Weapon X story. And it is exquisite. Yeah. Like, the art in that is unbelievable.
All that cross-hatching.
So, man, who inked that? Because
that's incredible.
I hope that guy had like a year off after inking that, because there's so much work. But it's gorgeous. It's very memorable. So all that to say, this is a very different Barry Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not quite.
And it's good. It's good, but it's just very different from what we would get. And like, you're not kidding when you say, like, look at that Iron Man on page 3. Like, that looks like a Jack Kirby drawing. Like that, like down to like the rendering of the lines, like those black inky wave lines to denote metal.
This composition's so interesting because it's like half of Iron Man's face, and I am sort of fundamentally against that. Like if you're gonna draw a panel of a character, like draw the whole head.
Interesting.
Like it's strange. It's like it's an extreme close up, and then there's like thought balloons coming off to the left of it. You don't see stuff like this anymore. No. And I wonder if this was even Barry like experimenting a little bit.
Could be.
Yeah. But solid Iron Man to the left of it. I mean, that's a great Iron Man drawing, honestly. He's grabbing his gauntlet and stuff.
It's a good Kirby impression, honestly. Like, I'm even looking at we're not going to go page by page. We can't. But I love the top panel of Iron Man, like, blasting the adamantium on the next page. Like, that looks like a great Kirby drawing. Like, I love, like, the big hands in the front with the Kirby dots sort of approximations.
There's sort of Kirby dots. They don't have that third color there.
Right.
So it's just, like, flat ink, which I don't think looks bad.
No, it don't look bad.
Yeah.
So, while they're experimenting on this adamantium, the Vision's kind of feeling strange. Mm-hmm. And he's starting to kind of feel pain, and he's starting to realize that there's a sinister will that's not his own that's kind of attacking him.
There's a consciousness creeping in, which happens a lot in comic books,
right?
Like a telepathic attack.
It happens to Vision a lot. So he ends up having to kind of duck out, and he goes to a graveyard to look at Simon Williams's grave, because as we'll cover when we cover the Vision issues, Vision's personality, his brain patterns, are based on Simon Williams' Wonder Man, who we covered in previous episodes.
Yeah. He's part of him or something. That's what I gathered from this.
Yeah. And he kind of starts to realize who is messing with his brain. And he doesn't tell us yet, but
it's so dramatic. He's
so
like
dramatic.
Walking in the graveyard by himself, and then he's like staring at the ground, like, a Motion City soundtrack song is playing, and then he starts like flying in the air.
Yeah, and he's like, I know what I have to do, and he's only been an Avenger for like 10 issues or 12 issues at this point. I'm pretty sure that as a reader, you probably know who he's talking about. Like, they don't need to hide it from you. But
don't need all this.
It's a typical kind of Roy Thomas issue. And so, some other stuff happens and it's fine. Like Hank talks to Yellow Jacket and Iron Man's training, and it's all well and good.
I like the Iron Man training.
The Iron Man training was
drawn really well.
And that's some good storytelling, too, with the and it's those Kirby hands that Barry Smith... There's a Jack Kirby documentary where they interview Barry Windsor Smith is one of the talking heads on the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, from that interview, you can tell he loved Jack Kirby. So no surprise that he emulated him.
Yeah.
It is a surprise knowing what he would become later.
Artists still do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, we do.
He's the basis.
Yeah, he's the blueprint. So, but the real thick of the plot happens after this training sequence when Vision sneaks back onto the helicarrier. Mm-hmm. And actually, the way he plays with the panel shape in that top corner of 12, where he has
where you get Vision, like the white silhouette.
The Vision almost. Silhouette is the panel border.
Yeah,
really, really interesting.
That's really cool. There's actually a lot of that in this comic where he experiments a little bit.
Well, and then that splash of that almost kind of like mosaic looking, like almost like a stained glass window composition.
The thing that separates Barry from Kirby in these compositions like this is Kirby would draw the full figure.
Yeah.
He does a lot of where like he cuts the figure off. Like this whole section where Vision's flying in space, we only get like shots of his face.
He is cropped interestingly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Kirby did not shy away from drawing the figures ever.
Yeah. And knowing what a figure artist Smith is, it is surprising. On. Yeah. Because he's an immaculate. Was he one of the studio guys? Barry Windsor Smith? It was like him, Jerry Jones, or Catherine Jerry Jones. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mike Kaluta. You know what I'm talking about?
Not sure.
Oh, we'll talk off air. So anyway, Barry Smith, one of like the great illustrators later on in comics. Like he was like, and I say illustrator intentionally. Like he was like a master of drawing figures later on. So it's interesting that you make that note because it's true. He does crop them in interesting ways. But basically, Vision goes in and he steals the adamantium. And these compositions are wild the further you go. I kind of feel like and I thought this while I was reading this, the more you get into the comic, the more confident Smith seems because he's starting to do things
go out on his own
very interestingly. Like he has this big splash with all these inset panels on page 15. He's got this interesting puzzle piece panel composition on page 14. Like he is trying to like do some different stuff here.
I think it's drawn really well. 15, that overshot of like that living room in the Avengers mansion where they're all like meeting. It's awesome.
It is.
It's a great overhead shot.
Yeah. And especially after being critical of that first overhead shot, you know, I'm obviously painting with a broad brush when I say that he's young.
He's drawing.
He's trying different stuff.
He's drawing stairs in perspective, and he has a rail.
Rail is what I was looking at.
The rail is in 2-point perspective in the foreground. It's great. Yeah. It's a great.
He's even got Iron Man working on some Kirby tech down there in the bottom corner.
Yeah, and there's a guitar on the couch. Like
guitars suck to draw.
Yeah, they're tricky.
They're tough. Too many curves and straight lines.
It's tricky. Although he didn't put enough pegs on it, so technically it's a bass.
Oh, that's a bass guitar.
Yeah,
but he has 6 strings.
Yeah, but he has 6 strings, so it's a guitar bass.
Those strings must be laying flat.
I didn't know they had those in the 70s. That's interesting.
Very funny.
Okay, moving on.
So anyway, they hear Jan scream. Jan's on the ground. She just saw the Vision. And they immediately get confrontational, and they start fighting Vision, and he reveals that he's the one who took the adamantium.
Yeah.
And he has they have like this weird thing where he says, "I'm not a man, I'm an android," and
but you have all the parts of the man, but you're like a synthesis.
Yeah, synthezoid. But he reveals basically that he took the adamantium, and when he reveals why, and again, big build up. That sound signals the birth of one you thought forever gone, of one who now stands composed of indestructible adamantium, of one who was destroyed yet lives again. And it's the deathless dreadnought that is Ultron-6.
Yeah, and then we get this nice full-page spread of our subject of this episode, Ultron.
That's sweet.
And it's great.
That's sweet.
And this is reminiscent of Kirby. You know, like, if there's a Kirby drawing in this book, this is it.
Yeah, like, what if Jack Kirby created Ultron? That's what that is. Yeah, so I guess earlier I said this was an Ultron-5 story, which is the title of the episode that we're covering, but really it's an Ultron-6 episode, but it is, I think, probably the most menacing, like, mass destruction, like, kind of hopeless version of Ultron that we've seen, at least compared to his origin.
They build it up, so it's kind of like Vision's being brainwashed by Ultron a little bit, and to reconstruct him with the adamantium.
Yes, which is going to play into the story we cover next episode, honestly.
Yeah, he's a stronger version of Ultron, which I think happens in the film, if I'm not wrong, too. Like, Ultron's body gets destroyed, he keeps getting defeated by the Avengers, and then he gets vibranium, I believe, from Wakanda to construct a stronger body for, like, the final battle of the Avengers.
Yeah. So the conceit here is that the adamantium that Vision stole is used to build Ultron, which makes him indestructible because we've established for the last 20 pages that adamantium has no weakness.
It can't be destroyed.
So moving on to 67, this cover, like, iconic Ultron cover.
It's cool.
It's cool. And it's a good showing of his power, and it's a great it's a great figure work on the members of this team.
Yeah, all the Avengers are here. I thought the same thing when I saw this cover. I'm like, what a solid, like, any collectors that have this issue, you got to be proud of it. It's like, you got, like, all the Avengers here, and then it is, like you said, it's a great shot of Ultron.
Yeah, great.
Die, Avengers, die!
Yeah. So, worth noting, the inker changes on this. It's George Klein. Everything else is the same as far as the creative team. But it's Ultron-6 blowing up Avengers Mansion.
How can you be mad at it? How can you be mad at it?
How could you be mad at it?
It's fun.
It is fun. This is comics, man. Look at that. Yeah. Look at that display font. We stand at Armageddon. That's freaking comics, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's some fun stuff.
That's classic. Some classic typography at the top there. Kyle's talking about.
And it's wild because you got, like, Ultron's on this kind of, like, CPU, like, jet glider thing.
This splash page too is, like, taken straight out of Fantastic Four. You have, like, characters that are in the background pointing at things and giving you exposition of the scene that's going on.
Pedestrian view of what's happening.
Yeah. Roy Thomas is definitely a student of Kirby, for sure. Yeah. But anyway, back to what we're talking about here. Ultron, man. Back to Ultron.
He's monologuing a lot.
I loved it. I like this issue more than the last issue.
I did too.
This was way easier to read.
It's just Ultron beating the crap out of the Avengers for 20 pages. It's really incredible. And Vision's having a crisis of conscience, of course, but something like this it's so interesting where they chose the splashes. I'm always thinking about, like, when you use splashes, it's for something important. But here it's just like Barry Windsor Smith just wanted to draw Goliath and Thor getting zapped by some energy.
It's like Kevin Eastman and Peter Lard in those, like, early Mirage Ninja Turtles pages. They don't shy away from the splash pages. They'll have 4 in a row.
Follow their heart's desire. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you hear the stories about, like, how they drew those comics. They're just, like, hanging out together, passing the artboard back and forth. Very cool. What I mean? So it's just like, it's more about, like, the teamwork there, but yeah, they don't shy away from you here. Sorry, I got us way off back.
No, I love it. I've said before, I feel like if we don't talk about Kirby or the Mutant Ninja Turtles every episode, then this isn't really an Issues with Cartoons episode.
Yeah, I'm technically not here if X-Men or Ninja Turtles are mentioned.
Even though they aren't. Four.
Yeah, even though none of those are what we're covering.
No, that's okay. I'm here for it. This is why the people tune in.
I guess.
Again, some interesting panel choices, like is this a Vision being reflected in the metal of this Kirby tech at the top of page 4? I think that's what it is. I think it's like a reflection of Vision on, like, the metal. It's just so interesting the way that he renders this stuff. There are some wild choices in composition in this issue. I love it. I think.
Yeah. Five's crazy.
So yeah,
Page 5's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, with that where he's like moving the lever, and it's like he's in the top right, and the bottom of the lever's in the middle of the page at the bottom. And
do you think it was a conscious choice to match Iron Man and Wasp's outfits?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know. We've talked before about Wasps constantly changing costumes.
It does.
I don't know. Changes. I don't know. This one might have been one that's been around for a little bit. I don't think the constant change in costumes happened quite yet. I think it's when George Perez takes over in a little while. But there is a lot of yellow on this team.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It
Lots of yellows
and
reds.
Affects the pages. Like this next page 6 is like just straight yellow.
So much yellow.
It's kind of ugly, actually.
Yeah. Sorry to whoever colored it, but I mean, it was a choice. But
and we have blue air balloons too on 7.
Yeah, the blue. I've always been struck by this with 60s comics. They do not care. They color those word balloons all sorts of colors.
It's pop art.
Yeah,
they'll
be pink. They'll be magenta. They'll be yellow. They'll be blue. They just do whatever they need to make it readable.
Yeah.
Because there's no rhyme or reason. Like today, if you did that, they would be like, "Well, what's your reason? What's the story reason? What's the character reason?"
If it's Peter Parker's inner monologue in the early 2000s, it has to be blue.
Was that your comic book guy voice?
I don't know what that voice was.
I liked it.
I make a lot of voices.
That was your art student voice. That
might have been.
That might have been your art student voice.
No.
He was an art student, so we say that with love.
Yeah.
If you are an art student. Though, can we talk about, since we're on word balloons, can we talk about the lettering in this?
Sure.
I love the lettering in this issue specifically. I just thought the sound effect lettering. We talked about the display lettering at the beginning. Even the dialogue lettering,
all solid.
But look at the zoosh on page 8, or what I really jumped out of my seat for was the shroom on page 9.
You mean our onomatopoeia?
The onomatopoeias.
Yes.
Yes, the noise words.
Yeah.
Were really striking to me.
Noise words, 10 out of 10, folks.
9 out of 10, 11 out of 10 for the noise words. Look at that, like, the bottom of 7, the now. Like, the rendering on that balloon and the little shimmer lines on the lettering. I'm just really struck by it.
He makes it bold, too, when it needs to be bold. And whenever Ultron speaks, he gets that little radio... what's it? The tail of the balloon.
Yeah, the radio tail.
It kind of turns into a lightning bolt to indicate that.
So Artie Simic lettered this one.
Yeah, fantastic.
And just really impressed. Need to shout that out. Or like even the way he plays with fall and how fall looks like it's falling when Yellow Jacket's falling on page. Like I could go page by page. There's so many examples.
I like how this first significant battle of the Avengers versus Ultron, Ultron doesn't have any legs.
Yeah.
He's just flying around in this electronic cart thing.
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous.
It's goofy, but it's like
it. It's goofy, but it's fun.
But he's still menacing. And I just that face design inspired. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, I like this. The Avengers may count themselves fortunate for the moment, but will they want to live on? When all of wretched humanity perishes about them.
So you know what's so interesting? I was thinking about
so fun.
I was thinking about this while I was reading the Vision dialogue in the graveyard. So Vision, based on Simon Williams' brains. Simon Williams does not talk the way Vision does.
No.
Ultron, based on Hank Pym's brains. Hank Pym does not talk like that.
Only when he's hitting Janet.
Honestly, when he's being a bad boy, which Ultron's the bad boy side of Hank, I guess. So maybe it's that, but it's just so strange that they have this over the top, bombastic, almost Shakespearean dialogue.
Yeah,
when they're based on just a couple of schmucks that don't talk like that at all. It's just goofy.
You're right. That is inconsistent. Yeah,
that's all right though. It doesn't bother me, but it is just an interesting observation.
That's true. It's true.
Also, Roy Thomas, obviously a student of Stan Lee's because he writes Janet very poorly in some spots. Where I don't know.
They draw her well in this one.
They do.
Yeah, she looks great.
Yeah.
In most of these panels,
But they keep having her and Hank call each other like lover and honey and stuff. Just
they're still in their love phase because
Yeah.
the slap hasn't
Hey,
happened yet.
you want some Kirby dots? I'll give you your Kirby dots.
Where
Go
they
to
at?
page 15.
Alright,
Look
page-
at those Kirby dots. Dazzling sparks of atomic fire.
I feel like Ultron has so much good dialogue in it. In this, like, I can imagine James Spader on page 13 being like,
Leap like dazzling sparks of atomic fire.
yeah.
With each instant, bring the moment of destruction nearer, for there is none that dare oppose me. And then Vision shows up, and he gives his ridiculous monologue. It's just two robots monologuing like the end of that movie. It's really cool.
It is there I shall make myself powerful enough to endure, to conquer. Through all the pitiful human world array itself against me.
Look how many dialogue bubbles are on that page. It's amazing.
Yeah, I could see where maybe they got James Spader's performance from this issue.
Sure.
Because he is monologuing. I love that. One thing I like about Ultron's design, just in general, this is a total just little caveat here, is that his mouth is Kirby dots.
Yeah.
And they
keep that in the cartoon.
I was going to say that when they do like a profile shot of Ultron in the cartoon, there's one scene, it might be in the next episode, where it's just the Kirby dots are talking from the side view. And I thought that was so cool.
And we don't give the show enough credit for this, because even when they use pin particles in that show, those are all Kirby dots.
Yeah,
It's actually they translate that part of the vocabulary very well.
Don't forget about the Kirby kibble bits.
Oh, Kirby kibble! We talked about. I'm a dog guy, and I have a dog, and I want Kirby kibble for my dog.
Yeah, me too.
Can't be chicken or beef Kirby kibble though.
Marvel sells 6 less calendars and make some Kirby kibble dog food
and give the Kirby estate a cut. So anyway, at the very end, Ultron is about to pull one last switch to wipe a city off the face of the map, because that's his whole thing, is he just wants to blow up a city.
He wants to destroy everything.
We haven't really talked about the motive or the plot, because the motive is just like, I want to blow up a city.
Yeah, the city's above him, and that's all he's trying to do is just rain hellfire upon the world.
It's just like,
that's all he cares about.
Let's make everything burn.
But I love that about Ultron. He's just a merciless robot. He doesn't care.
And we've talked about this before, and
great.
I've said this when I talked about the Red Skull. Or with Bullseye.
Yeah.
We love our complex villains here at Issues with Cartoons. Love them. Those sympathetic villains, can't get enough of them. They're great.
Yeah.
However, I enjoy a just bastard that you just punch in the face.
Sometimes Marvel, I'll say this. Sometimes Marvel has a bad habit of making characters sympathetic when they don't need to.
Nope.
Prime example, Sandman in Spider-Man 3. I like Sandman as just a stupid crook. Like he is in Spectacular Spider-Man. I like him, he's just the dumb thug that happened to fall into the machine at the power plant and turned his body into sand, and now he's a dumb thug with superpowers. I don't need the sympathetic angle of him helping his daughter and killing Uncle Ben, okay?
You know what's
I don't need that.
funny about that? The first time I ever read a Sandman in a comic was an Avengers issue where he becomes an Avenger because he's a good guy. So they make him a hero.
So you always associate him as a good guy?
I always associate him as a conflicted moral character. That's so interesting.
Oh, so you have a totally different outlook. See, I grew up.
I'm sure the Ditko era Sandman was just a thug.
Yeah, I read the Essential Spider-Mans, the black and white ones. I had the first 2 trades when I was a kid. I read all 40 issues.
Isn't that funny? Just where your entry point is can completely color your perception.
Yeah.
Which is why people get so bent out of shape when characters are written differently. It's because they don't want people's perception of this character to be different.
Because the great lie is continuity.
Yes.
Anyway.
Issue 68. The Mighty Avengers. We don't know what the state of the world's going to be like when we put this out there, Carl. We can't use the words of the great lie.
I'm sure Sandman will be good or bad.
Right. Sandman. Let's talk more about Sandman in comics right now.
All right.
The Mighty Avengers, issue 68.
Yeah, we had 68. I was about to say, are we there yet?
So what's interesting about this one is that now it's Sal Buscema on art duties. So Barry Smith is not doing this whole storyline.
That guy, I love this issue.
It's beautiful. That splash of Sal Buscema Ultron is incredible to look at.
It's very dynamic.
Sam Granger, I'm not familiar with Sam Granger. It's Sam Rosen is the letterer for this issue, so he's back.
Sam Rosen has lettered a ton of these Marvel
him
books.
and Artie Simek were like the two guys.
Insane amount.
I can't even begin to imagine their workload in the 1960s. They did everything.
Probably just like had a solid job just lettering.
Oh,
like
Artie and Sam were just like, we don't have to ever look for work again.
Yeah, we don't have to do anything. We could just sit back and get these Marvel books and letter.
I wonder what their page rate was. Like, it couldn't have been much. They did so much work.
Probably better than all those old ladies in that warehouse in Connecticut
doing all
that
the color.
had to color all these.
Yeah, probably better than that, Kyle.
The color separators.
Yeah. All those layers of acetate.
Yeah.
All day.
Let me miscolor Wasp's costume one more time. I got to hit my page rate for today.
You're
Those
right,
poor
Betty.
old
You
ladies.
haven't hit your page rate in a while.
Oh, poor Betty.
Hey, what?
She
what
got
color,
arthritis.
What color is Giant Man? Don't care.
Yeah, can you imagine trying to get those people to buy in?
I would love to be a fly on the wall when they were coloring.
Like, hey, make sure you get this hue correct for the vision. Anyway, so this concludes the storyline we've been following. And
it's the great battle with Ultron here. It just continues.
This whole 3-parter is just this really incredible fight with this menacing robot. And it's really fun. It's a lot like this episode that we watched. It's just a big fight.
I like when they call Black Panther, unlike the telephone.
Yeah.
And they're telling him,
because he's the one who's been missing this whole time.
Yeah, he's talking about vibranium, and they're comparing it,
But the page after that has one of my favorite panels in this entire storyline.
Is it the imaginary Ultron?
No, but I did think about you when I read that because we talked about that trope. No, it's this one of Ultron just leaning on his little robot chair.
There's a lot of acting there.
A lot of acting.
There's a lot of
he just
acting.
looks menacing. I actually think this panel shows up in maybe it's that Les Daniels book that we keep talking about, or maybe it's another source book or a history book. But I've seen this before.
Panel.
Yeah, it's just the acting in it is really, really cool.
Kyle, this is what I look like when we record the show.
Yeah,
this is how I sit in my chair.
Well,
I have a hand on my
not just
chin.
your posture, your eyes look just like that.
Yeah, and my mouth opens and shoots open Kirby dots every time I laugh. I'm like, another issue with cartoons episode.
What do Kirby dots taste like? I imagine Pop Rocks.
Fanta. No, it tastes like Fruitopia.
Fruitopia?
That old, that old, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
That old fruit drink?
No.
Oh.
Wait, is that the one with the little twist off?
Yeah, it was a little twist
Those
off.
are called Fruitopias?
Fruitopia is like lemonade, basically.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Anyway, I don't know why I'm bringing that up.
Because
that's what Ultron's
what the people came for. That's what the people came for. So, one of my favorite parts about this is when...
Page 8, dude. Page 8 where he's imagining himself as a bunch of Ultron bots killing everyone. And let alone he's a robot having a daydream.
We talked about this.
Daydreaming.
We talked about this so many times. This happens all the time in 60s Marvel. Yeah. Where the villains... We talked about this last episode
Jack Kirby
with Red Skull.
All the time.
Yeah. Where he's the villain's monologuing, because this whole page, Ultron's not talking to anybody.
He's talking to himself.
He's talking to himself. And he's thinking about what it's going to be like when he takes over. And whenever a supervillain in a Marvel comic in the 1960s, whenever they start monologuing about taking over the world, you get a little glimpse, a little peek behind the eyelids into what they're thinking, and you just see this chaotic mess, and it's always the same.
Yeah, it's always death.
But it's always just destruction, and it's so fun.
We got the UN.
We show up at the UN. This is one of my favorite things. Goliath walks into the UN, and he's crouching down. He can't shrink down. And
so he's just got to walk in.
He's just got to not bonk his head on the door.
They're lucky they weren't protesting.
But, but this is some problem. I don't know. There's a lot of problematic Roy Thomas dialogue in these. The introduction to the UN.
This comic's so old.
Holy
this
jumping
from
cats.
The 70s. Yeah.
Keep cool, man. Yeah. So I think it's actually from the mid to late 60s. I don't even think we're in the 70s.
Oh, really?
Yet. I think it's in the late 60s. But Dr. McClane is addressing the UN, talking about technology and like the threat of technology, and goading Ultron-6 out. And Ultron-6 appears, and he's no longer in that chair, so he's no longer Ultron-6. He's the next iteration, the next version. He's Ultimate Ultron, and he's got these like skeleton arms and legs. Yeah,
he's got some new legs and arms.
And it's menacing.
The 6th level, beyond any numerical degree, the hand that slays, this shall belong to the ultimate Ultron.
Yeah, we got a croon coming again. The lettering, just amazing.
The lettering is awesome in this issue.
So
it is noteworthy.
So good.
It is noteworthy.
Yeah, and so they start getting out these zapper guns to zap Ultron.
It's like a scene out of Terminator. It's
really
wild. It's wild.
Yeah, and we know James Cameron was a fan of comics. I bet he read some Ultron comics.
Probably.
There's
some cool angles.
There are some cool angles. Sal Buscema, man.
He destroys this issue. It's really well.
Oh, this is the panel on page 14 is when Goliath bonks his head on the ceiling.
Dude, hold on. We got to bring up the. I know we're running a little long here.
That's okay.
But we got to bring up that Mjolnir does absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Thor's hammer
to adamantium
has done so much stuff up to this point, and
you're right.
That's
a good call.
It doesn't affect Ultron at all.
Zero impact.
Yeah. So let's talk about power levels more.
I want to know who could win in a fight, Ultron or Mjolnir. Ultron.
Okay. Yeah.
So ergo, who wins in a fight, Wolverine or Thor? Obviously Wolverine, because Mjolnir does nothing to adamantium.
Yeah. So Wolverine can defeat. Based on this, Wolverine can defeat Thor.
Yeah, I'm pushing my glasses up on the bridge of my nose while we're talking about this. According to issues 68 of the Mighty Avengers, based on Ultron's power level exhibited against Thor's
but when Kakarot does Kaioken times 10, he probably beats Thor and Wolverine.
Obviously, whatever words you just said. The action scenes in this are really notable. I know I'm going to skip to page 17. Though,
okay. All right. Yeah.
To the part where
a little more fighting.
Thor, where Ultron tries to basically mind control, steal the secrets from.
Oh, that part's so good.
McClane.
Yeah.
Worth noting, we should actually keep this in mind for next episode, because there's a scene that reminds me of this. But basically, Ultron kind of wigs out when he's trying to read McClane's mind, and he kind of starts self-imploding a little bit and gets distracted, and that's when Jan throws Thor a vibranium prison that expands and envelops Ultron, and when he explodes, it contains the explosion.
Yeah, the Ex Machina.
Yeah, the Deus Ex Machina. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it read very much like a Kirby comic, because they were just like, we're running out of pages. How do we solve the problem?
We don't know how to.
But no, this is why they called T'Challa on his radio phone, and they were asking for vibranium to be sent over. And this is when you find out that McClane was not McClane. It was Hank in a Mission Impossible mask pretending to be McClane. And you find out that when Ultron was reading McClane's mind, he just thought over and over again, "Thou shalt not kill," and he was just trying to basically short circuit Ultron's brain into imploding on itself. What did you think of that solution to this storyline?
It's convoluted. I feel like it just comes out of nowhere. Like this whole ending to me.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worthy of the build-up that it gave it.
Yeah, like we're so much build up to get to Ultron, and this is the resolve, and we're shown how powerful it is. I do one thing to say something positive here is that I like that it is Thor that ultimately defeats him.
Sure.
But yeah, I didn't need the whole face mask Mission Impossible thing.
It seemed unnecessary. I mean, it does give Hank a moment to participate in in defeating Ultron, which I think is important. I think whenever Ultron is a threat and needs to be defeated, I think Hank needs to play a part, because he played a part in creating him. I think Hank or Janet need to be involved somehow in the defeat.
I think thematically it's stronger in the cartoon.
I agree.
The way that it all, like, the threads converge,
yes,
and the storytelling in this. And I can forgive this because these comic books are essentially storyboard sequences for things Marvel does later on. So it's like...
they were figuring it all out.
Yeah, like the fact that this isn't perfect doesn't bother me.
Yeah, the cartoon and then the movie, they all had the benefit of other people... They were able to workshop other people's original ideas. So I'm not going to hold this at fault too much. No, I wouldn't want to either.
Ultron's a really fun character.
Yes.
And he is in this issue. And sure, it gets resolved in a dumb way, but it's still fun. Yeah. The ride is fun.
Yeah, it is. Oh, he's a fun, maniacal bad guy. Mm-hmm. I completely agree. So that takes us to the end of this... in our show's introduction to Ultron and the comics. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we go, Carl?
Other than I really feel like these episodes of Avengers have been ramping up.
Yes.
And they keep getting better and better. Like, it started with the Winter Soldier tease last episode. I like how that tied into the Cosmic Cube to, like, resurrect Bucky. And then these Ultron episodes were really, really strong. Like, I really enjoyed watching both of these. We're going to talk more about the second part next week and kind of where Ultron takes this plan.
Yes.
And everything. But I think overall, I've enjoyed this more than some of the episodes of the show we've covered earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is climbing up towards the top of my favorite episodes of this season. No doubt. Yeah. All right. Well, anything you want to plug?
You can find my comic books. I'm a cartoonist. So is Kyle. I have a book called Shogun Bear in the House of Horrors and Captain Devil mini comic. I also have zines and other stuff on my website, stickers, www.carllucasdraws.bsky.social. Kyle's got a few comics as well that he can tell you about.
Kofi.com/kylewindle is where you can find them. Thunderduck, Mad Science Rejects, and Cornelius Armstrong. Mad Science Rejects involves mad scientists who create killer robots and such. So, might be interesting to people who like this stuff. You can also commission me and Carl at our respective websites. You can follow us on Instagram, Bluesky. Carl's on TikTok. We are on Bluesky, Instagram, and TikTok at IssuesWithCartoons. Mm-hmm. You can email us, contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com for any questions, requests, or feedback. Please rate, review, follow, subscribe at all of our platforms. We're on YouTube and Spotify. Get the word out and give us some feedback.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, we just did a teaser reaction of the new Fantastic Four trailer. So if you're into Fantastic Four, go check that out.
Yeah, and actually, by the time this comes out, we'll have probably done. We'll have already released our Daredevil week by the time this episode comes out. So probably. Our coverage of Daredevil from the build up to Born Again being released on Disney Plus.
We did a lot of reading for that for Daredevil week.
A lot of reading for Daredevil week. So I encourage you to check that out. We did some talk and draws for that, and we'll probably do one at the time of this recording. It hasn't come out, but we'll probably do one for Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah. So expect more YouTube.
Lots of content on YouTube for us. We do some micro reviews of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. We've done a lot of content for you, and we hope you are enjoying it. So check all that out, and until next time, more issues to come.
Stay tuned.